The stranger collapsed right outside Clara's barn door. Thunder rolled across the wide Montana sky, the kind of storm that made even seasoned ranchers uneasy. 24-year-old Clara Mitchell tugged the last gate closed, rain slashing at her face like sharp needles. Lightning split the heavens, briefly illuminating the muddy ground. And through the sheets of rain, she caught sight of a figure stumbling toward their property. The man's gait was uneven, his shoulders sagging, and the silhouette of the battered cowboy had barely kept the water from his dirt-streaked face. His denim shirt was torn, one sleeve ripped halfway, and his boots squelched in the muck. "Papa!" Clara shouted, voice nearly lost in the roar of the storm. Robert Mitchell, her father, stepped out of the house with a rifle slung in his callous hands. At 56, he had learned the hard way that strangers on a ranch could mean trouble. The man reached the barn door, swayed once, and collapsed hard into the mud. Clara rushed forward despite Robert's warning growl. Her boots sank in the wet ground as she knelt beside the stranger. "Please," the man rasped, his breath shallow, rain pouring off his hat brim. "Just need shelter for night." Clara studied him in the flicker of lightning. Maybe 30 years old, weathered features, yet his eyes, when they fluttered open, were startlingly clear, honest even in desperation. "What happened to you?" she asked, brushing wet hair from her face. "Horse through me. 20 miles back," he managed, "been walking since dawn." The exhaustion in his voice was genuine, every syllable heavy with truth. Robert approached, rifle low but steady. "Name?" "Ethan Cole, sir." The man breathed. "Work ranch is good with horses and cattle." Robert's eyes narrowed, but Clara's heart softened. Against her father's silence, she made her choice. "You can stay in the barn tonight. There are blankets in the loft." That night, Ethan lay in the hay, shivering but alive, while Clara quietly cleaned a shallow cut on his shoulder. He spoke little, offering only nods of thanks. His manners were simple, but respectful. At dawn, Clara stepped outside and gasped. Ethan was already awake, sleeves rolled, repairing the broken fence that had plagued him for weeks. His hands moved with practiced rhythm, hammer steady, every post set firm in the damp soil. "Papa, look at this." Clara called. The fence stood straight and true, better than before. Robert inspected the work with grudging respect. "Not bad. You done ranch work before?" "Yes, sir," Ethan said. "Been working cattle since I was 15. Lost my last job when the ranch sold." In the days that followed, Ethan proved himself over and over. He calmed their most stubborn mare, fixed a barn door that had stuck for months, and labored from dawn to dusk without a single complaint. Clara caught herself watching him often, his quiet strength, the way he never wasted a movement, the gentleness with which he handled the animals. "He's a good man, Papa," she said softly one evening as they leaned against the fence. Robert grunted, but his stern eyes softened. "Maybe so. Still keeping my eye on him, though." 2 weeks later, trouble rode in with the dark clouds. Travis Cole, Ethan's cousin, appeared with 3 armed men. Their horses snorted, restless in the heavy air. Travis dismounted with a swagger, a cruel smile twisting his face. Well, little cousin Ethan," he drawled, "time to come home. Got business to settle." Ethan stepped forward, shoulders squared, placing himself between the Mitchells and danger. "I'm not going anywhere, Travis. Told you before, I want no part of your schemes." Travis smirked. "That land dispute back in Wyoming? Judge ruled in our favor. 2,000 acres, free and clear. But I need your signature as family to claim it." Clara's heart pounded. Robert's fingers inched toward his sidearm. "The land belonged to Mrs. Henderson," Ethan said coldly. "You cheated her with false papers. Either you sign," Travis sneered, hand hovering near his revolver, "or we start taking what matters most. Maybe your new friends here." The silence was thick, every second stretched. Then Ethan, with startling calm, reached into his coat. "I'll sign," he said. Travis's grin widened, until Ethan turned, pulling folded papers and handing them to Clara. "But not for you, Travis. These are the real deeds. Mrs. Henderson gave them to me before she died. She wanted her land to go to good people. Clara blinked at the weight of the documents. 2,000 acres, Ethan continued, voice steady. I'm signing it over to Clara Mitchell. Someone who will use it right. Travis exploded. You can't do that. Watch me. Ethan's signature flowed across the page. It's done. The hired guns twitched, but Robert's rifle was already leveled, his voice like steel. I'd suggest you ride on. This land is hers now, signed and witnessed. Rage twisted Travis's face, but he knew when he was beaten. This isn't over, Ethan. Yes, it is, Ethan replied firmly. As they rode off, Clara clutched the deeds, stunned. 2,000 acres, more than she and her father had ever dreamed. Why? She whispered. Ethan's gaze met hers, steady and kind. Because you showed mercy when you didn't have to. Because you and your father work honest and live right. Mrs. Henderson wanted her land in hands like that. Robert stepped forward, with her hand extended. Ethan Cole, I'd be honored if you'd stay on as foreman. This ranch needs a man like you. Ethan clasped his hand with quiet strength. Yes, sir. I'd like that very much. As the storm clouds broke and sunset painted the sky in shades of fire and gold, Clara stood between her father and the man who had become more than just a stranger. She felt the weight of the land, the promise of new beginnings, and the quiet truth that kindness had a way of returning tenfold. Sometimes helping a stranger changed everything. And sometimes one act of compassion could turn a wounded drifter into family. The ranch stretched before them, vast and full of promise. 2,000 acres of second chances, waiting to be lived.